chop it up. Maya, what's going on, brother?
Hey,
Welcome,
can you hear
welcome.
me?
You're good, loud and clear.
Awesome. Okay, yeah. Thanks very much for the invitation today. Really appreciate that.
Yeah, absolutely, dude. I think obviously on the show we're ICM focused, and it's interesting seeing anyone experiment. Obviously, we talk a lot about believe, and then there's this other angle, and I think you've had this discussion publicly a few times, where it's like you got this angle that believes kind of taking where there's no real equity tied to it at the moment, and you're kind of on the other side of the fence where you're like, no, no, we need legal representation of ownership in these companies, and I think you're taking like the form of equity to be that. So maybe Maya, tell us a little bit about what you're building at Street, and then we'll get into your background. It's a little backwards, but we'll start there.
Yeah. So I was always very excited about what Believe is doing, and I think it's still one of the greatest visions this cycle that these startups can like bootstrap so many users, so many also a lot of funding by tokenization. But kind of the issue from the beginning on was where do you have accountability for these founders? Because you can just launch a token right now for your startup and abandon it the next day. For example, if Cooley launches something, why the hell would they continue to have this token around if they can also raise 15 million from A16Z? So yeah, you have to have something for accountability here, and so which ensures holders that this token will be continued. And
Yeah,
yeah, kind of the
I,
easiest way
I know it's a little early for me to butt in, but we've never really had accountability on chain up until this point. Why do you think that should change now all of a sudden? And I'm not against this take. I'm just curious to your thoughts there.
because it's a good thing to have accountability, because if
Yep.
there's no accountability, then you just end up with all these charts which go to zero, and there's no real value created. Like you don't have to implement accountability if you want to continue living in trading in a space where you have to constantly live in fear that you're getting rocked. But I don't think it's a bad thing to implement
Of
accountability.
course
And
not.
I think every trader, I mean, I'm coming from a complete trading background, every trader wishes to have like accountability layer, so these teams actually build something and actually continue using the token and create value for the token.
No, that makes sense. Maybe touch on your background real quick. You said you're a trader. Have you always been a trader? What kind of, I guess, maybe gives you some credibility to just build this thing out, build Street out?
Yeah, I've been trading since 6 years. Have been in the beginning always like on chain. Have been trading these kind of utility tokens back in the days where Ethereum was still a thing. Nowadays it's more everything on Solana. But yeah, I think I have a pretty decent knowledge over what performs well and what doesn't perform well. I have a great network of other traders who have like the same I guess edge over the market, where they understand where narratives are, where value is, what teams are going to perform good in crypto, and which you should avoid. So I think I could run, and that was like an idea of mine of a few months ago. I could run a very profitable VC firm as well. So I initially wanted to like go a bit more in like the VC direction, but the kind of issue is that these ERC20 tokens and SPL tokens, they aren't good enough for like for I guess investing and for distributing to other people. And there's, as I said, no accountability, no real value there. They're all backed by promises and kind of artificially kept in high valuations. So yeah, I really spent a month kind of inventing ERCS and making it as good and as legally enforceable and as regulated as possible. And we received a ton of feedback of it.
So explain ERCS a bit to us. That seems to be the crux of Street, kind of the underlying thing that's going to make this successful. Explain ERCS.
So to put it very simple, it's essentially kind of equity anchored token focused on end user distribution. That means that there's like an SPV or a foundation which holds equity in the token, which holds equity of the startup, and the token is kind of anchored by this. So in case any M&A event happens, be it an exit, IPO, merge, an acquisition, then you can have like a discretionary reward for these token holders, so they can receive a portion of the equity proceeds. So yeah, it's kind of M&A focused, M&As, merchant acquisitions focused framework, which allows like economic upside to a startup without it being a security. Because right now you don't really have economic upside to any belief startups, if we're being honest. Like it's just a lot of it is built on like a trust me, bro. I'm gonna give you back some of the cash in case I exit at some point. And yeah, that's kind of the only solution for this. And yeah.
So you mentioned that in case of mergers or some sort of liquidity event, token holders can expect a reward. Does that make it a security, or is security even something to worry about anymore? Like, can you explain that to us?
So they can't, like, we can never promise them a reward, but through a DAO mechanism, they can expect that there's going to be a vote on this reward. And I mean, we all know how kind of DAO votes go, and if the majority of people, I have to be very careful here because it's like a language where you have to avoid some
Yeah.
terms, I guess, to not get in a dispute with the SEC. But we're in a DAO vote where everybody's like aligned on a certain goal, then you can kind of expect or predict a goal to actually go through. I mean, most DAO votes aren't very close. They're always like 99% against 1%. I totally expect, and we will very much enforce the DAO vote to also go in that direction. But I have to be careful here with language, so I can't promise anybody something, but I think the majority of people understand and know how these DAO votes usually proceed.
I guess we'll just get this out of the way now, guys. Like, if there's anything Maya can't say because of legalities, like sometimes he's got to tiptoe around these things. So just expect that probably for this whole interview. But that begs a few questions. I got two really importantly. Number one, the SPV or the foundation that's holding this equity. How do we know like they don't just get out of here and dip with the equity and never reward anyone, never pay out anyone?
Yeah, actually, if you scroll a bit up on the page, there's a bit more. There's like a 20 scenario kind of playbook where every potential outcome is explained in extreme detail. It's over 95 pages of detailed kind of a detailed framework where everything is explained. For example, this is S1, founder equity withdrawal. So that kind of touches the whole scenario in case a founder kind of withdraws the equity or just kind of doesn't want to continue the SPV. So if you click on the document link here, you'll get like a complete explanation on this scenario. Yeah, there are a lot of legal details here in place, and a lot of contracts we have to mutually sign before an ERCS token is created. And yeah, we've kind of solved all these potential dangers, and yeah, these things are not possible because the board, like a TLDR of this, the founder is never in own control over the SPV. There's a board of members here, and every transaction of that SPV. So if somebody wants to withdraw like equity, for example, then it has to be double checked, double signed by anybody. So nobody can just withdraw something.
Nice.
Big Mac said this library. Sorry, yeah, this library is great. The docs. Where can we find these docs? I see they're in a couple of your posts. If you just go on the Street FDN Twitter account, I'm sure you guys can find it there. Would you say that's probably the best place, Maya?
ERC's ERC-s.com is actually the quickest way to get it.
Perfect. ERC-s-.com.
ERC-s.com. Yeah, it's
ERC-s.com. All right, there you go. So my next question would be, we kind of covered the different scenarios. What if the SPV bought, say, 60% of the equity on chain, and so they had the majority vote in any decision they make? How do you decentralize it enough to where there's not one controlling entity, able to basically swing any DAO vote?
So yeah, currently the DAO vote isn't with the token. Like for example, if Colette did this, which they're currently building on, the DAO vote wouldn't be by Colette. That has one major benefit, because we want these founders, and we the kind of whole framework builds around that these founders want to get more of their own supply, because initially they give up, for example, 50% of equity to this SPV. So suddenly the founder has 50% equity less. So they obviously want to gain back control over the equity in case they exit eventually. So what they do, they buy back the supply of the token to eventually have a larger cash proceed in case that distribution happens. So we can never put this DAO mechanism on the actual base token. So for Clad, it wouldn't be able to vote with Clad, but with a other token. Again, I can't promise anything. I can't speak about this, but I think eventually Street should have a kind of governance token. It will also have like other. I'm never gonna kind of deploy a value empty governance token, but yeah, eventually it will be governed by something. Let's say it that way.
Okay, cool. I guess real quick, so just to summarize for everyone that isn't really catching on, quick summary, what is Street in simple terms? What is Street? What are you guys providing and doing?
Essentially it's tokenized equity without it being a security. That's the easiest way.
Perfect. Yeah, I like that. You guys are chill. Sorry, you keep breathing. I can hear you. Come on.
No. I was just gonna say, so basically what you're doing with the equity in the foundation is you're aligning, or correct me if I'm wrong, you're aligning the incentives for founders and traders. Like it's just like traders want to accumulate a token and speculate and what have you, and maybe invest for, because they see the long-term vision. A founder also using this kind of model would be incentivized to sort of accumulate the token just in case they have some sort of a liquidity event like a merger or etc.
Yeah, so there are exactly three things which make this kind of valuable. The first one being that it's kind of backed by something tangible, by something real, which is equity. The second thing is that it's that these founders are incentivized to buy back their own supply, and the third thing is that they can still run anything any utility token right now can do. On it, you can run buybacks, kind of referrals, incentives, utilities. Like you can run anything these current tokens have as well on this. So yeah, it really has this kind of triple benefit which creates value in the end.
Wow. So you also so tokens obviously like from like ETH days with some of these devs and utility projects in the past, they've kind of created or tried to um generate value through like adding some sort of like utility, right? Like whether it's like staking or using it in the product or what have you. You're kind of through streets, tokenomics and this ERCS, you're basically adding another layer of value by creating a way for founders not to not rug essentially.
Yeah, I think it's actually two other layers of value, like having these incentive to buy back and actually having it backed by equity. The latter makes it really valuable, for example, for like a bit more sophisticated market participants who want to have upside
Mm.
exposure on a startup. Yeah, I think we've kind of seen enough of the ERC20 tokens and these utility tokens. I mean, these charts look horrible, and in the end, I think we should kind of stop beating around the bush, yeah, and
Bush.
Bush, okay, and can I actually say what like the majority thinks, and it's that we want tokens that go up in price, and it's as simple as that. And I think ERCS is the best way of ensuring that.
And the last question I have on this, my bad, Dom,
Good.
is when you're thinking of like kind of like a launch for these tokens, like what would the launch look like? Would it look similar to something like a bonding curve? Like what does that look like?
Good
Yeah, so
question.
bonding curves are cancer. I hate this idea of bonding curves. It's especially if you have like a something which is kind of tied or at least reflects the equity value, then it's so fucking unfair to give like some random FNF kid like 2% of equity, and you're like first engineer which worked here for 2 years every day is also does also just own 2% of equity. So I don't know. I'm not a big fan of this of bonding curves, and I don't want to provide any value to these FNF sniper retards, to be honest. So yeah, we have some ideas here. We have an in-house mechanism, which is kind of a fee decay mechanism. So it kind of starts with 99% fees and then goes down to 1% fees. Kind of similar to like a Dutch auction,
Price
like a
decay.
liquidity bootstrapping pool. But I'm a big believer in like giving founders all the freedom that they kind of need. So in case anybody wants to launch on Belief, for example, we won't say no to that. We will not advise against it. If somebody wants to launch on Pump.fun, even though then we will probably advise against it, but it's still they can still do that. And yeah, we are also not like chain centric, so we can serve Solana, Ethereum, Base, Arbitrum, even Berachain. Like everything is possible here. So yeah.
So to touch on this, you're not a launch pad. You're more of a standard. How is it that you guys profit? How do you guys benefit from this?
So yeah,
Because it's like it's launching on Believe or it's launching on Pump or it's launching on Base. It's kind of agnostic, as you say. Yeah, I'd love to kind of get insight
yeah.
there.
So I'm a pretty big believer that this is something which we can do for over 10 years. Like this is like a it's definitely not like a I guess quick launchpad like for example Heaven did, where they just saw a problem and immediately like offered the solution. In the beginning we won't take any kind of volume fees. So everything, for example, like if a startup chooses to have 200 bps volume fees, and we will take zero of that. We do take like some advisory equity, but that's performance based, meaning if you perform well on our standard, we take a bit more, and if you don't perform well, we won't take anything at all. This just kind of
Do you have like you said, it differentiates, but do you have like an average number, 1 to 3%, 1 to 5%, 0.5%, anything we could kind of have tangibly?
it's very unique and tailored for every startup because some require more legal work because we also cover the legal cost of this. So some for some which are, for example, less matured, so pre-seed or like a low seed valuation, we do take a bit more, like around 1 to I guess 5 if it really performs well. Like then it has to like absolutely be the reason why the startup succeeds. But for like larger companies, like seed stage where they have already like a 40 million to 60 million, maybe more valuation, then we'll obviously don't take like such a large advisory equity cut, maybe down to 0.5% to 2%. I think that's it's kind of the fairest approach for both us and for the founders, and especially having it performance based is very fair in my opinion, because then we don't take a large cut if it doesn't actually perform well. It doesn't help the startup at all.
So this is really interesting. It seems like you guys are going to be very hands-on with a lot of these startups that you're kind of, we'll call it incubating. I even see this tweet here. And by the way, these numbers that you're saying, incredibly successful ground game you've been putting on. It seems like you've been visiting, San Francisco quite a bit, finding these startups and really, breaking into that scene. At the very bottom, I see if you will also receive a 100K cash grant if you decide to adopt the ERCS framework. You must have a pretty big team, pretty well-funded situation going on here. Can you firstly give us, I want information on this tweet I have pulled up, but firstly give us information on like the team, the lawyers, who you kind of got that you're working with, and maybe like funding. Where's this funding come from? Because that's, 100K. You said you have 200 startups in the pipeline, or 150 last I checked, and over 100K, 100K grants for each one. That's significant.
So yeah, to kind of run a business and to start a business, you always have to invest a certain amount of money into it. We're actually pre-seed. We haven't taken any funding at all, and I'm kind of always against going to VCs early. I think you should always like maximize your own traction and your own kind of inevitability first before even like going to VCs and asking them for money. Eventually, we'll have like a small pre-seed round. I think end of October is the time for that. But yeah, it's largely self-funded. I've been trading for a long time now. I obviously had good and bad trading decisions, but I was able to make some money, I guess. Yeah, regarding like not every startup actually receives 100K. Not everybody that applies gets 100K. There were very, very weird applications as well, and we obviously don't have like a high acceptance rate. It's around like 2 to 5% right now, I think. So yeah, if we actually like we got a lot of great startups here to apply. Some Y Combinator ones, some people who have been previously funded by A16Z. So yeah, very prestigious founders, I guess. And yeah, if they end up actually tokenizing through us and adopting the ERCS standard, then they will receive the 100K as a pure cash grant, no equity, no anything.
And are these startups are they yet to launch? Are they like already generating revenue, or are you just like getting them from like the pure ground level, or are you just like helping on the tokenization side? Like at what point are you coming in or being introduced to these startups?
So usually there are between pre-seed and seed, so they are early stage, and I think that's pretty good for tokenization, because then you can kind of plug in a token pretty easily. While if it's already mature to Series A, then it's a bit harder because the product is usually very mature. And yeah, you can do it pre-TGE, you can do it post-TGE. So in case any good protocol which actually takes something from 0 to 1 and isn't just like I guess some useless idea, then they can also just plug and play into ERCS, and eventually also are able to turn their ERC20 or SPL token into a ERCS or SPLS token.
Are there any of these startups that you can speak on, or because I really want to ask you what like, are there any ones that you're most excited about? But I'm assuming you can't.
I've heard about a little robotics one. Little Birdie's been telling me something about robotics, something about San Francisco, Silicon Valley. Maybe something there?
I can't really share which startups I'm talking to. There's one robotics company actually out of Silicon Valley, actually out of San Francisco, which applied to this, which is very interesting. I initially just wanted to go to China and talk with robotics companies there, with humanoid robotics companies, because I think they have a bit larger use case for ERCS, because they are currently cut out of the American market, out of the American capital market, and it's not easy for them to raise funds and to create awareness for American investors. Figure AI, for example, is a startup which succeeded in like getting their equity and kind of their idea across to American and international investors. And right now they're valued at 37 billion, I think. So yeah, there's a lot of value in getting your kind of Chinese, Hong Kong, Singaporean startup to really be accessible for the American market.
So it's interesting you say that, because we had Kodak on this Monday, one of the premier robotics plays on, tokenized robotics plays on Solana, and they said the same thing. Like they're really, I asked him because he's based out of Dubai. I said, are you positioned to move to San Francisco to maybe capture some of the startup robotics culture there? And he's like, honestly, China's where it's at. And all our partnerships, relationships are in China because they're super cutting edge over there. So that'd be interesting. Have you made that trip to China yet, Maya, or just in the works maybe?
No, I'm in San Francisco right now talking to startups here because it's a bit easier to onboard these people, and because I'm currently like in the talks with, for example, A16Z. I'm gonna meet with them I think tomorrow afternoon because they invited me to talk about ERCS, and I really want to have like maybe one very, very prestigious VC to back me, because it's always hard.
How did you get this deal flow?
which like
That's
I mean
nuts.
I'm not funded by them. I'm not saying that, and they're not yet endorsing this, but I mean it's not that difficult to get meetings, I guess, if you actually create and invent something, which is great. Avi Patel, actually, shout out to him, also helped me a lot, kind of getting foot and traction in Silicon Valley. Yeah, I
Nice.
met with him yesterday for the first time. We went to Founders Inc., which is like a startup hub where a lot of these very talented Gen Z startups are. A lot of like hardware startups are currently having this blueprint accelerator. Yeah, it was very great and very kind of refreshing to get in touch a bit more with the startup culture here.
That's awesome.
Is Avi, obviously you and Khaled have a good relationship, you and Avi, I should say. Clearly you're pioneering. At the bottom here of this post, Avi recently released their white paper. Oh geez, what am I doing? Oh geez. Avi recently released their white paper, and we can see at the very bottom, point 7, I believe it was, he mentioned their tokenized equity model, the future of Khaled anchored equity. Obviously, that's you guys pioneering that. Is Avi like a part stakeholder in Street? Are you guys?
Yeah, he will
What's
he
that
will own
relationship?
like a advisory portion because he helped a lot with kind of getting everything rolling, but he doesn't have like a co-founder role or similar.
Got
And
you. I'd also,
if I can,
yeah. What's up?
if I before we get too far away from this A16Z meeting that you're having, what's the purpose of that meeting? If you can disclose that, and like, is that establishing a relationship? Or are you expecting kind of them to help help fill your pipeline? Like, what's going on? What's the value there for you or for Street?
Yeah, I think it's just to kind of explain what we're doing and to kind of get my point across why this is like a valuable idea and kind of how I want to approach this. I mean, I had a few other meetings with like larger venture capital funds, with Paradigm, with Drapa. So
Nice.
yeah, I do think it's something which is very interesting. A lot of people are kind of seeing the same thing as I am, and yeah, that they either want to like get to know me a bit better, or I at some point maybe invest in Street.
So the one thing that I just wanted to ask, the last thing I'll ask you is this. In a perfect world, because obviously you have this great idea. You're attracting a lot of attention. You're getting a lot of doors opened. You're facing you're rubbing elbows with a lot of big folks. They're interested in this idea, and I do see a world where the kind of tech investor capital is kind of attracted to this ICM sector that we're all building out. In a perfect world, like what does ICM look like? Where do these kind of folks like A16Z and these big VC firms, where do you see them getting involved? Do you see them wanting to kind of like come on chain and directly invest? Probably not, maybe too risky. Or are they looking to kind of invest in sort of like incubators or platforms? Like how does that like what does their involvement look like? What are they most interested in?
Yeah, in the first place, we have to prove that tokenized startups win over untokenized ones, and I think Colette will be the perfect case study for this, because I really do believe that kind of what they already did and how they managed to accelerate their business growth and kind of what they're about to do, especially like in the next few weeks, is going to showcase very, very well how tokenization benefits these startups. So eventually, and that's my goal, is that A16Z and all these large venture capital funds will go to their startups and ask, why are you not having a token yet? And yeah, I think that will be like the major kind of breakthrough where these huge venture funds like A16Z will kind of help ICM grow, is by kind of getting their startups to use this distribution mechanism, which crypto is, and preferably use ERCS as the go-to way and the go-to strategy.
Wow, so you're really like unlocking, um, you know, uh, you're unlocking an
Bro, what's going on?
entire like not only just wave of capital, but you're introducing this little part of crypto to these big players. That's absolutely amazing, and I'm blown away. So I can't talk anymore. So Dom, you take that. I know you want to ask
Well,
something.
we've seen the SEC, make statements saying they're like aggressively moving towards bringing markets on chain, right? So it's just naturally progressing in this direction.
Bro,
To
can you
kind of
guys
pivot a
see
little bit,
me?
you talked about these 3 points. We mentioned that you and Avi have a good relationship, kind of taking this advisory role, helping you get a footing in Silicon Valley a bit, in San Francisco. Maybe tell us a bit about these 3 points. We know that Kled right now is currently the only proprietor of those points. Just what's going on there?
Yeah, I mean, I can't disclose a lot about it for legal reasons, but yeah, I mean, they're valuable. Let's just keep it in that way. I can't really say a lot about it, but yeah, it's not I guess it's not a bad thing to have in your portfolio, especially because
Okay.
they don't cost anything. Like, you can just farm them for free. You don't have to use our platform, give me any revenue, I guess. So yeah, I think it's a pretty
Okay,
fair
well, so
solution.
maybe without speculating on the value
You
of
can
those
see
points,
and hear me,
I'll
bro.
just chime in and say I would.
What is going on, dude? StreamYard's bugging. Jeez, I just look like a goofball for the last 5 minutes. All right, sweet. You can see and hear me. Sheesh. That being said, let's get into it, man. GMCG, and of course, dude, I don't know what I'm doing. Why does the chart look like this? Guys, I don't have my show engineer here today. This is a Dinero Dom show, and it's off to a rough start. My screen's micro-sized. My face is not on the screen, at least as far as I'm aware. Chill is saying it is. Switch back here. Ugh. All right, whatever. Jeez Louise, guys. Well, I got to whip this thing into shape here in the next 5-10 minutes because I got Radar coming on. So let's see. Where's Josh when you need him? Am I right? Okay. Going to discard. Oh, here we are. Okay, that looks good. That looks good. I think that's my screen looks a little big, but it's going to have to work. All right, GMCG, guys. Wow, we're back. That was a bit of a rough start, but we're going to make it work today. How are you guys feeling? Bitcoin is nuking. People are saying Michael Saylor selling. He is not. It's okay. He actually made a tweet earlier, double confirming that, man. People can just make stuff up on the internet these days. What's up with that? But let's see, guys. I got some stuff saved. We'll get a little pre-show going here before we have Luke from Radar come on. We got 5 minutes, and then we will pull him up. I'm excited. This Radar is actually holding up really well. I'll give you guys some context real quick. Radar is holding up really well. Let me pull up my Mobi screener. Again, guys, this is goes to show why I don't do this by myself here, because I am lacking. All right. Share this tab. Boom. So Radar is holding up really well in comparison to the rest of the market. And that's the chart. Not too bad. Not too bad at all. Not too shabby. So excited to get them up and talk a little bit more about what they're building, how they're able to hold up. People are clearly interested in this market. In other news, let's talk macro real quick. In other news, Bitcoin is continuing to tumble. We talked about this quite a bit extensively on the show. This was my original box here. We called this range. I should make it a little bigger like that. We called that range for a bounce. We got the bounce, but it was just too heavy. It couldn't sustain. We ended up, instead of reaccumulating, distributing, right? Making this our up thrust after distribution and then tumbling down, as you guys can see here. So Bitcoin's looking a little heavy. It's continuing to go. I don't know if we get quite this low. If we do, guys, I would say anything sub 90 in a bull market is probably a pretty decent buy for Bitcoin. We'll see what price action looks like down here, but starting to get to more interesting areas, maybe sub 90, call it 87, 85 down in there. So that's what I'm looking for. As for the rumors of Michael Saylor selling his Bitcoin, let's see. This has been addressed by multiple sources, but here's one right here. So the false rumors of Michael Saylor selling 47,000 Bitcoin could be the ultimate sign of the bottom. I will say the Kasabi letter is really good at keeping a level head when it comes to market crashing and sentiment and overall macro. Really, really well worth a follow if you guys don't already have that in your following list. But as you can see, Michael Saylor tweeted, "There's no truth to this," to Walter Bloomberg's post about MicroStrategy distributing. So there's that. Let's see. In other news, what do I have? Same thing right there. Watcher Guru, same thing. This Orbit situation is pretty cool. I didn't read up too much on it, but I saw some people I follow talk about it. I got to look into it. I think Game tweeted about it a little bit. I don't know. I want to get them on Microcap Gem Show, but it's something to look into. If you guys haven't seen this tweet by Ubit, check it out. I guess they have 100 million raise, or they have $100 million, 50 million equity, 50 million cash. I think Tether fronted this money, if I'm correct. So pretty cool. Something to look into. I got 4 minutes to go. Also, man, we got Scooter FUD, man, in real time. I missed this. Jeez Louise. Scooter FUD, guys. Love to see it. Unless it's projects you're in. Unfortunately, in this case, this is a project I'm holding till moon or dust at this point. And I will zoom in for you guys. Pasternak just deleted his tweet about the Believe Flywheel going live after multiple weeks of silence. Was Believe just a new way Pasternak could enrich himself, and he now plans on abandoning the Launchpad? This is a Scooter tweet, guys. I've not verified this myself, so I just saw my guy Star-Lord post about it. Shout out Star-Lord. And so I wanted to scramble over here. No clue if this is valid, if this is real, but if it is, not a great look. If that's true. Yeah, Flywheel wasn't flying indeed. Well, rough to see that. Man, in other news, I keep going other news, Dupe is going crazy. That has held up extremely well in terms of on-chain. Actually, all of our on-chain bags have held up relatively well in comparison to the broader market. We saw this, got some Nikita Beer love, shot up to 36 mil. It's obviously down a little bit, back to 25, so it's lost 10 million in valuation since. But nonetheless, that's a good-looking chart. I was slamming into buys. I mean, even starting back here, just on these dips, and then all through here was buying. So I am looking good on my Dupe position right now. I hope you are too. Let's see. What's up, chat? How we doing? This is a Dinero show today, but I got Chill in the chat, it looks like, for some support. So let's just go through. Kish, my guy, what's up, dude? Long time no see. Hope you're doing well. Pepe, best time of the day. We appreciate you, brother. It's good to see you. You're a familiar face. Friend of the show. We always appreciate seeing you. And, of course, Chill. GMCG, GMET, GSOAR, GCPT. That's a great point, man. Let's talk CPT. SOAR is doing their thing. CPT, again, another one, resilient in these difficult times. That's a nice chart. Whatever sorcery is going on, whether they're market makers top tier, whether people are just genuinely accumulating this, it is very low float. So people don't really understand that this is not really a 29 million market cap. It's more like 2 million market cap. But 314K in liquidity. Remember, it doesn't take much to really send this thing. Great looking chart. GCPT indeed. We can hear and see you. That's good, man. Sorry about the technical difficulties. Top Fumbler GM. Hey, what's up? What's up, my guy? Coletown. GM. Yo, I appreciate you guys coming on today with the boy. We'll have some time just chilling on the stream today. Make it pretty short. Make it pretty sweet. Markets are disgusting. So if we want to, if we just want to chop it up and go through some charts, tickers, we can definitely do that. After, of course, we have Radar on here in 1 minute, which I'm going to pull up Luke in a sec. So we'll respect their time, get them going, and then we can just hang out. So, yep. Let's see. Anything else? I'll take it back here during these tough times to remind you we are in a broader bull market. Pullbacks are normal. I think equities are pulling back pretty hard today as well. Oh, actually, not so bad. They've bounced. They've recovered a good bit. I'm not going to even tab over to that, but nonetheless, again, Kasabi keeps everything very level-headed here. They said, ignore the noise. We are back to the point where the top is in has become consensus. Extreme fear sentiment readings have become a daily occurrence, and large cap tech stocks are down 10 to 20% after running 100+%. These are all hallmark signs of a technical correction and a broader uptrend. Zoom out and capitalize on periods of emotional weakness in price. The fundamentals remain strong for our asset owners. Well said. Okay. Covered macro. We're good, guys. I was out last night. Hate to admit it. Thursday nights become a little too often that I am drinking late on Thursday nights. I did stay out till about 4 a.m. which is not good. Do not recommend. It's getting a little cold, so I'm a little congested. So sorry if I come across as unprofessional. But that being said, let's talk Radar. Really great chart. I'm excited to have this conversation. They are, doing privacy, X402, a little bit of everything. Let's read a quick little recap, and we'll pull Luke up on stage and jump into the interview. But to break down, here's a November 5th through November 11th weekly roundup. The privacy native infrastructure keeps shipping. X402 redefines growth 16 plus L Gamel. No clue what that means. Gonna have to get some clarity. 200 milliseconds automatic settlement via balance checks plus escrow. Latency plus security fixes to X402. Shopify app submitted. X402 hackathon submission. And then they got a thread going on. Sweet. We'll check this out. We redefined X402 protocol secure with the gross 16 DKP, L Gamma, and 200 millisecond balance checks against user escrow to protect merchants / bots. Here's a tweet. We've redefined it up to 5x faster. Again, there's that word I'm not really familiar with. We know what zero knowledge proofs are, of course, but I'm not sure what growth 16 is or L Gamma, but it looks like some sort of encryption. Escrow PDAs for instant settlement. Mostly privacy. X402 sellers are just glorified wrappers. We built the protocol itself. That's what we want to hear. And it looks like they got 3 minutes ago. We're not going to play through the whole thing, but looks good. Yeah, it's nice to see that they're not just another wrapper. We are not here for glorified wrappers. We want builders. So this is good, and we're going to hear more about that hopefully in a second. We solved latency issue with X402, bringing the path forward, proof settlement down to 200 milliseconds without sacrificing verification. That's good. So we get quicker speed without losing any sort of protection there. Very good, very nice. Scrolling down, I'm going to try to make this quick, guys, because we want to get Luke up here. More major security issues addressed. Boom. Okay, they've been working. Let's do it. Let me get this website pulled up. Got a link tree. Here we go. Let me get my handy dandy notepad out. And let me pull up Luke from Radar. Give me 1 second, guys. Boom. Share this tab. Oh, Luke's got his screen up with us too. I'll let Luke play. Luke, what's going on, brother?
Good morning. Good morning.
Good morning to you. Are you is it early morning for you? What time is it?
It's 5:18 a.m.
5:18 a.m. Where are you located?
Sydney, Australia.
Sydney, Australia. Proper Aussie. I love it,
Yep.
dude. I love it. Well, we are glad to get you up at 5:14 or whatever you said, 5:18 a.m. in the morning. We appreciate your sacrifice, and we will make do of it. So that being said, Luke, we're going to get into Radar. You guys have been extremely resilient in the markets. And one more time, I'm going to pull up your chart because this is really impressive. Bitcoin is nuking, and you guys are holding strong. So one more time, I'll pull up the chart just to flex it real quick for you. That's a good looking chart, Luke. How are you feeling about that?
It's a very, very good looking chart. A lot of people accumulating. A lot of people are bullish with what we're building. We've seen a few projects trying to build what we're building, all failing or all laughing.
I love it. What's nice about this chart too is it's not like this launched 3 days ago. This was just, you guys were cooking for like 22 days before anyone really caught on, it seems like, which is like, in my opinion, the best type of plays. So I really do like to see that. And it seems like maybe that's because you guys have been, like you said, doing something different, working a little harder. But let's pull your screen up. I'm going to give you full screen control. If you want to switch it back, I can take
absolutely.
it. But feel free to take over. That being said, Luke, let's jump into this interview. We appreciate you. I'm excited for this one. Maybe tell us about yourself.
Yeah, so as I said, my name's Luke. I am the founder and lead developer of Radar. So previously, we actually launched as Tilt on Pump. So we used a company called, I'm not sure if you're aware of them, Migrate Fund.
Tilt.wtf?
Yeah, that's us.
I do remember that. Look at that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, so we obviously couldn't get the traction that we wanted with the deck style, product. Couldn't get like the adoption, let's say. So we went to the Migrate team. We came up with a plan to rebrand as well as migrate from pump to actually bonk. And then once that completed, we started rolling out, as you can see, native privacy payment rails for Solana.
So, Luke, can I touch on this real
Yeah.
quick? You guys
Shoot.
basically pivoted completely from the previous product, yeah?
Yeah, 100%.
How important is it for pivoting and founders when you haven't really been able to gain traction or product market fit in your eyes?
I think it's a lot more beneficial, right? Like rather than just straight up rugging
Of course.
or straight up closing the product. Let's call that. Especially if you can't get that adoption that you need. Obviously you're not making money. We saw it with Lens. They pretty much shut up shop.
Yep.
I was talking to the founder of Lens quite a bit because he wasn't making creator fees. He launched roughly the same time as us, and then I basically said to him you should check out migrate.fund, migrate your token, and pivot, rebrand, do what you need to do to continue.
Yeah. Let's so you actually migrated to Pump, and we have migrate.fund coming on next week, I believe it is. So maybe I'll loop your name into the conversation. But interesting that you chose to go to Let's Bonk rather than like a Pump or a Believe. Was that due to a fee structuring thing? You mentioned that maybe previously you weren't making any fees, and this is gonna maybe help bootstrap, or tell me about that.
Yeah, absolutely. So we got onboarded by one of the Bonk guys. We reached out to him. Super easy to work with, and then the Migrate Fund team, they give you a couple options. So I think it's Bonk, your own Radium pool, or another launch pad. So we decided to go with obviously Bonk. We didn't believe that we were big enough or strong enough at that time to actually bootstrap our own Radium pool.
Yeah, that makes sense. It's interesting. We haven't seen a lot of success cases or long-term success cases on Bonk. I didn't even know you guys were Bonk, but when I look at your chart, it's holding up really well. We've seen a lot of attention go to Launchpad specific ecosystems, right? Like, so MetaDAO, we're seeing just broader attention for all of MetaDAO, right? Avicii, Umbra, Loyal, now their next raise, Solomon. And it's like this trickle effect of the Launchpad being popular equals the tokens doing well. Obviously, Bonk's been in a pretty rough area. It hasn't really had many runners or success stories. You guys are still managing to get good attention. Do you think the Launchpad matters? Or the place your home is technically matters? Obviously, Solana is good for speed and everything that comes with that. But what are your takes there?
Well, honestly, I actually thought it would, right? So Pump, we'll say Pump, right? They're in a realm of their own, right?
Yeah.
But I personally, for me, I thought that moving to Bonk, would give us more visibility, but it actually hasn't been the case, as you pointed out.
Is that a bad thing, or is that actually maybe a good thing? Because it seems like your holder base had to search, they had to do DD, they had to build a little bit of self conviction rather than just like blind aping off of hype from a Launchpad. No.
Yeah, well, that's exactly right. We have people hitting us up like 3-4 times a day, basically to answer questions. As you said, like people trying to do their DD into the project.
Yeah, I think that really typically makes a much stronger holder base. Gabby makes a good point, and she says no shade, but generally I fade Bonk projects for the reason noted. You're not the only person doing that. I do subscribe to the fact that I think we should invest in projects for their merit rather than the Launchpad that they're built on. But Gabby does make a good point. Obviously, I doubt you guys plan on migrating again. You're doing great. The chart looks beautiful. But I don't know. It's just an interesting conversation. I want to see your perspective on how Bonk's been maybe aiding or maybe diminishing your product's exposure and value, whatnot. I don't know.
Yeah, so I come from like the NFT days, right? So back when 2018, Tom had his own launch pad. You know, there was a Magic Eden launch pad. You know, or yeah, you know what I'm talking about. You know, there were several other launch pads, and like the same thing happened, right? Like, you know, if you weren't on a certain launch pad, you would get faded because it's not like, you know, the most trending launch pad. You know, Magic Eden gave you massive exposure, massive visibility, and then you have like all these B tier, quote unquote B tier.
Yeah.
But if you look at Pump, they've captured what 90% of the market,
Yes.
probably more.
Probably more.
I would personally say that I would fade Pump tokens because you look at the influx and the amount of tokens that are being launched on there versus what's actually good tech, quote unquote.
I don't disagree, Luke. How do we get to a point where maybe Launchpad doesn't matter so much and we're kind of more fragmented in the sense that we see runners on different launch pads rather than just one?
Yeah, that's a good question as well. I mean, I don't think it really changed during the NFT days. You know, if anything, it became imperative that you launched on Magic Eden because all of these, you know, B tier launch pads, you know, you watch just project after project unable to, you know, mint out. I think there needs to be more, as shit as this is going to say, more structure with Pump, more DD. And I know there's a couple of launch pads that are coming out where they actually do their DD into the project before they're launching them.
Yeah, well, I don't want to get too caught up on the Launchpad conversation, and I do want to hear about your product, but I just went on a tangent there. So, Luke, let's jump back a little bit. Can you tell us a bit about yourself and how you got into building, how you got into crypto, why a token, all that good stuff?
Yeah, absolutely. So I came from the old NFT days. So we used to run snipers, mint bots, etc. back in like the old NFT days. You know, used to crash Magic Eden. So I come from all the way back then. I had a break for a couple of years back when, you know, the NFTs were struggling. And then, you know, now I've came back. As I said, like we try to launch Tilt, or we did launch Tilt. You know, try to get that adoption that we needed. Failed that, and then pivoted to what we thought was needed in the space, and that's an actual payment rail for Solana that incorporates privacy, not on the, I'm going to call it like the layer 2, so not in the facilitator layer, but actually at the core payment layer.
Yeah, nice. You said we in there. What's the team looking like? Who are you working with? What do you guys?
Yeah, so I have 2 other team members. So I've known them since all the way back in the NFT days. You know, we used to build, as I mentioned, like, you know, Rust sniper bots, you know, Rust mint bots, you know, everything written in Rust. So yeah, there's 3 of us. So I'm the founder, lead dev, and then I have front end developer and then another back end developer working with me.
Sweet. How long have you been building?
Building this, or
No,
just
building in general. Like, how did you get into building? What, you know, drew you there? Why are you passionate about it?
So 2020, I would have started the building journey, and it was back then, like in the NFT days, purely to make money. And then, you know, as the space has evolved, you know, you see, you know, project after project, you know, product after product, you know, either rugging, quote unquote, not delivering, or, you know, scamming. So, you know, putting, you know, malware in their hidden, like in their layer, and, you know, completely draining everyone.
I hear you. Okay, let's jump into the product here. You guys made this pivot. Now you're working on this payment rails. You got zero knowledge proofs. I see X402, some buzzwords there. I didn't know what L Gamma Galmo was, or some of the words in your updates. Maybe you'll explain
Yeah.
those to me as we go. But
Yeah,
let's jump
absolutely.
into the product. What are you guys working on?
Yeah, so we've been developing an actual payment rail for Solana. So it's not only X402, so merchants can incorporate this payment rail into pretty much whatever they want to accept payments to. We have a Shopify app. It's currently being reviewed for the Shopify store. So we're trying to bridge that Web 2 to Web 3 gap that there is at the moment. It's pretty much just straight plug and play. So you'll be able to come in here, connect your wallet, select your network, generate your LGAML public key. So LGAML's for basically your encryption. So from the front end to our back end. So basically you send that encryption to us, we verify it in the back end. So everything is written in Rust, and then we'll basically either approve it or deny it based on what's sent. So it's not only for merchants, we do have X402 support as well. So with this, we don't run any facilitators. So you can think of us as the facilitator, or cutting the facilitator out of it. So what we did is we completely rewrote the X402 protocol at the payment layer. So everything bypasses your facilitators, and we settle it via our backend rather than using a middleware.
So I want to walk it back to the Shopify integration you were talking about.
Shoot.
How important is it to make crypto transacting through Web 2 rails seamless and discreet, right? Like,
Yeah.
people don't need to know that you're sending Solana. People don't need to know it's crypto rails, but it gets, cash value from one point to another. How important is it to make it very seamless and just keep it on the back end for everybody?
Well, yeah, you do need to make it seem like you got to think, right? Like, say, you've got average Joe that wants to transact with, USDC, USDT. We'll take Solana completely out of it. So we'll just say USDC on Solana, right?
Yep.
If you don't make that as seamless as possible, those merchants are going to lose those transactions. They're just going to go, oh, well, fuck this, too hard. And then go to either another merchant, another, provider that has, another product that is a lot easier to use, or they're just going to completely abandon and be like, nah, too hard. So
Yeah.
it's not only for the consumer, but it's for the merchant as well. Like, having that ease of use end to end, making everything seamless.
Are you going to be able to demonstrate what that looks like, or do you not have those capabilities right now?
Give me 2 seconds. I do.
And you don't even have to do that right now. I was just wondering. We do love our demos.
We do love our demos.
Come on. So maybe walk me through what I'm looking at and what you're doing here right now.
So this is just a standard product on the Shopify store. You'll come in here, you'll pay with crypto. You'll get the checkout summary. So you can do this for either digital products or physical products. So personally, we recommend it, like especially for that privacy, for digital products only.
Okay.
And then you'll connect your wallet. Your escrow PDA will line up or be created.
What is an escrow PDA exactly?
So an escrow PDA is a public derived account. So basically that PDA is tied to your wallet that you're connecting. So you'll deposit the amount of Solana needed. So in here you can see it's automatically converted from USD value to Solana. everything will automatically register for you, and then you'll just pay. And then you can see the payment flow. So from here, it generates, your zero knowledge proofs. It encrypts the amounts with Elgamal, and it'll send it to our backend. Basically, from there, it'll put a hold on the escrow amount until the zero knowledge proof is verified. And then you can see there it's been being
Nice.
paid. You can come in here, and then you can see everything. Yeah, transaction pending. So that'll change once it's been verified. You've got obviously the customer wallet and then the price in Solana.
Nice. Maybe you can walk me through some of the technology on the back end, like why there's an escrow needed, why these ZKPs are important, the encryption, just what all that looks like. Maybe give me tidbits on why you guys felt it was important to integrate all these special features.
So we were looking at like what was missing in the Solana space, and when I first joined, right, like you get into crypto, you're like, oh sick, everything's going to be private, hell yeah. And as time has gone on, nothing has changed. So everything is completely visible on chain, which completely defeats the purpose of quote unquote decentralization, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. So I got into crypto, as I mentioned back in, 2020, 2021. And, I was like, oh, this is sick, completely decentralized, quote unquote, banking, we'll call it that.
Yep.
So that sort of was kind of delivered to, myself back then as, and then, yeah, as I mentioned, like as time's gone on, everything is, visible on the blockchain. You can see everything, SolScan, Solana FM, you can track everything that everyone's doing. You can link everything if you actually take the time. Like,
Sure.
SolScan's quite, like the average person, I would say, they're not going to go into depth on SolScan, but pardon me.
It doesn't take much.
Exactly. It doesn't take much. So what we actually have on our back end is, we've got Groth 16 ZKP, so zero knowledge proofs, and you can see it here. So this is the architecture. The payment flow. So user will deposit to their escrow PDA. So we have a relayer that signs the transactions as well. So it breaks that wallet to escrow PDA linkability. Then what happens is, we generate our zero knowledge proof off chain. And that's how, I think you can see here, that's how we get our sub 200 millisecond, verification.
Can you take me into the inner workings of ZKPs and how they work, how it encrypts the sender and receiver and all that stuff?
Yeah, absolutely. I'll just finish this if that's all right.
Yeah, please.
Yeah, sweet. So that's how we get our 200 millisecond or sub 200 millisecond verification, which is imperative for X402. So what we've seen with X402 as well, I'm just going to go on a side tangent here, sorry.
Please.
Is the traditional 402 protocol is not really built for, real-time payments. You're still waiting on, blockchain confirmation, settlement, et cetera. So that's why we've implemented, zero knowledge proof is basically to get that link to link. And once it's verified, basically what happens then is the escrow account, or it'll verify the escrow account balance. It'll put a temporary hold on the amount that the user's trying to pay. And then all the zero knowledge proofs will be settled after that.
And that's the flow.
That's the very basic flow, yeah. So we've got, Groth 16 zero knowledge proofs. We have Elgamal to encrypt transaction amounts. We have bitmap nullifiers. So what a bitmap nullifier is think of it as a receipt book on chain. So basically that prevents double spending. So it hits or creates this 1 bit in your receipt book, it's basically a yes or no. And then it'll link that. So it verifies that. And then from there, obviously you can see, you know, Elgamal is in, well, the amounts are encrypted with Elgamal, encrypted with zero knowledge proofs. And then we have our cost per transaction as well.
Is your cost a base cost every time?
Yes. So that doesn't change.
How are you seeing this when it comes to microtransactions? Like, we know that's gonna be a big thing for X402 and agent to agent transfers, and you know, I don't know, there's just gonna be a future where microtransactions are needed, and we know that these fees really prevent a lot of them for third world countries or
Yeah.
depending on the currency. How are you envisioning microtransactions evolving?
So, like, I'm 32 now, so I grew up where microtransactions were a thing online probably back in 2015, 2016. You know, where you could go to a website and it's like, you know, oh, cool, I have to pay like, you know, $1 to access this.
Mhm.
Like, yes, I see it as, you know, something quite big for the ecosystem. Is adoption there? It will come. It will take time though. Like, obviously you have some quite a few big backers. Like, you know, you've got Coinbase,
Right.
Cloudflare, you know, PayAI, you know, everyone like that, to try and, you know, accelerate that adoption of, you know, agent microtransactions.
Yeah. Do you think, I mean, this is more of an AI question rather, but do you think we get to a world where like agents have just taken over all transactions and they're the only ones? Like, I guess maybe that makes me ask, who's the target market for this? Is it people? Is it agents? Like what? Yeah.
So, and that's a good thing about this, right? Is like a payment rail. So payment rails can be for anyone. So, you know, it can be for merchant, consumer, you know, business, agent. And that's why we've designed it like this, is basically anyone can, you know, plug it in and start accepting, you know, private payments.
Yeah, that makes sense. You were explaining ZKPs a little bit earlier. Can you just explain how a
Yeah.
zero knowledge proof actually works? Obviously, let's keep it a little normie friendly because I'm not a technical brain. I think probably most of our listeners fit in that boat too.
Yeah, so I'll start with Groth 16. So Groth 16's it's a construction of a zero knowledge Snarks, and it was by fucking Jens Groth. So a zero knowledge proof, it basically super simple. It's like, I know someone has a secret value that satisfies some rules. So we'll take that value. So value, you know, X, for example, that satisfies some rules in a program, you know, Y. And it'll do that without revealing W itself. So I'll give you an example. It's like, I know a password that logs in without showing the password. So this transaction is valid and the balance adds up without revealing addresses or amounts. So I'll go back to Groth 16. So the good thing about Groth 16 is the proof size it's minute. So it's typically under, you know, 200 bytes, you know, and verification of, pardon me, that proof it's extremely fast.
Okay.
So with the back end, so it needs to be set up. I'll go into like a little bit more technical. It needs to be set up. It needs to be set up in a trusted ceremony. So, you know, you generate your key, or sorry, you generate your proving and verification keys using, you know, a type of randomness. So if the toxic weight, and we'll go into toxic weights, etc., a little bit later. So yeah, what the actual flow of Groth 16 looks like is, you know, define circuit C, and then the setup. So you run setup C, proving key, and then it goes verification. And I'll I'll bring up a diagram shortly of basically the actual full flow of, zero knowledge proofs.
So essentially, how I've understood it in the
Yeah.
past is like it's basically confirming something is true without revealing the answer.
Correct.
Okay, yeah, it's that's crazy technology, and crypto G369 from YouTube makes a good point. He said the government is overreaching, and what is money with no privacy? It's a fundamental right, not just a narrative. Why has it taken so long for people to start getting interested in this privacy thing? I feel like everyone's wanted it for a long time, but just now for me, it feels like it's become like what crypto G369 is saying, a fundamental right, and we should start focusing on it.
Well, I think you look at banks, right? And it's becoming a massive thing, especially here in Australia, right? Like where I can't even go get my money out without the bank questioning me.
Mm.
It's like, why do you want, $20,000? It's like, why do I have to tell you why I want $20,000?
Yeah.
And it's like, it goes down to that. And I get they're trying to protect themselves from, obviously people getting scammed and stuff like that. But I shouldn't have to go into a bank and, give them a thesis on why I want $20,000.
Do you think protection is important? We see it all the time. I know old gentlemen and women that fall for these scams. They're seemingly very obvious scams, but they fall for it all the time, and banks try to put things in place to avoid it. Do you think like that line of questioning is needed at some level, or you don't think it matters?
I mean, yes, I see your point. But at the same time, if I want to spend, or if I want to get $10,000 out and, build a Scrooge McDuck pool and swim in my money, like, I shouldn't have to give an explanation as to why.
I agree. Yeah. I just, you have to ask the question if you think, at some level we need some sort of protections, right? Because we know crypto has, like, again, it's like the pros and cons to crypto. You have this decentralized money where you don't have to ask. You can send wherever you want, whenever you want, however you want. And, there's so much value to that. But at the same time, there's a lot of risk, right? We see people lose keys. We see people send money to wrong accounts, and once you make a mistake, you can't get it back. So it's just, I don't know, a question that I guess kind of battle with now and again.
Yeah. But when you look at it right as well, Solana isn't really even decentralized. Like, we saw it back in the, I'll go back to 2020, 2021, right? Like where, validators would crash all the time. The whole blockchain would crash.
Yeah.
And they would have to quote unquote restart it.
It's been a little while since we've had that happen. Why do you think that is?
We have. That is a very, very good question. That would be a very good question for the Solana founder.
Not a question for Luke.
Not a question for me.
You said something earlier in one of your posts on Twitter. You said, "I'm not a rapper." It seems like you guys have built this technology. I want to ask two questions, so maybe this is dual prong, and you can answer one then the other. But
Sure.
What does competition look like? And are most of the people you're competing with simply rappers? And how do you guys differentiate?
I'm going to say yes. A lot of the products are rappers. I think our biggest competition was Stakeify. They were trying to do what we actually accomplished. Which is a payment rail, but not just X402. It's a full-blown payment rail with X402 capability. So yes, you look at, and I saw it a lot with the Solana hackathon, the X402 hackathon, is these projects would come in and they would be like, we're building zero knowledge proofs for X402, and it's from flow to flow, it's not feasible without rebuilding the protocol, because you still lose that level of security once it hits the facilitator. So once it hits the facilitator, it's basically unwrapped and sent unencrypted. Whereas we cut out the middleman, we cut out that facilitator, and we, have end-to-end encryption by doing that.
And what does that competition look like right now?
Competition? I don't think I've seen any product that has delivered Yeah, that's delivered a privacy payment rail for Solana.
And
That's
how does that
actually open sourced as well.
and how does that work? Can this just be plugged into anything? And
Yeah, so
we can
we
run
we
with it?
have quite a few packages at the moment. So obviously we have our npm, TypeScript. It has 165 downloads in the last 2 days. So we're getting a lot of traction from people who actually want to plug in a payment rail to their product and completely either cut out that middleman.
And that says 165 weekly downloads.
Yeah, that's in the last 2 days. So we launched this 2 days ago.
Who's the typical person downloading? Have you seen those metrics?
That is a very good question. No, I haven't seen those metrics yet.
Okay, got you.
We, actually also bringing this to Solana Seeker as well. So you
I
saw
saw
that?
the tweet. Yeah,
Yeah.
I can pull it up real quick actually. And
Yeah.
at some point I want to go through your Twitter because you guys have been talking a lot on Twitter and there's some cool stuff I want to address. But
Yeah, sure.
yeah, tell us about the Seeker.
So it'll just be basically a standard mobile app. We'll have a SDK that people can plug into their Seeker app, or basically whatever they're building on or for Solana Seeker. And then it'll work similar to, on the Phantom app on your computer. You'll be able to pretty much connect your wallet, deposit, withdraw, from your escrow account, and make secure payments on that on Solana Seeker.
On this topic of Solana Mobile, Solana Seeker, what are partnership conversations looking like? How are you guys doing BD, reaching out to people? Like, what does that whole process kind of look like?
For our project in general. Yeah, so we have
yeah.
So we have a dedicated call them like relationship manager, who is actually reaching out to projects, reaching out to everyone on a daily basis, to try and get that partnerships lined up. We've got a couple of pretty good ones in the pipeline, in the works at the moment. More information to come on that.
Sweet. What's the feedback been from some of these people when the relationship manager goes and talks to them? Are they like, this is something we need and want, or is it like, I don't know, give me an insight there?
Yeah, it's a mixed bag, right? Because essentially you're changing your payment rail for your your product, and it's not as simple as just being like, oh yeah, we accept USDC Solana. It's changing the way that you do payments on the front end, as well as potentially your back end. So there is a little bit more development work for it, but the development work for the cost of privacy, it's a no-brainer there.
Yeah, makes sense. Crypto G369 has another question from YouTube, and this was going to be my next question. But how does the Radar token tie into all this? Why a token? How does it play into it?
Yeah, absolutely. So we through profits and stuff, we're initiating buybacks, burns, and then as the product obviously gets mass adoption, it will require to hold Radar, to access those premium tiers, or a subscription fee.
So you really want a token that can grow with the product is what you're kind of shooting for.
Exactly.
Do you have any like set in stone percentage buybacks you guys are going to contribute, or anything we could read up more on that?
It'll be 25% of weekly revenue.
Sweet. 25% buybacks straight into the token, plus tiered gated access when premium
when that rolls out. Correct. Yeah.
Okay.
Obviously, it has like our product is launched, but it still is, we'll go quote unquote beta.
Sure.
But, there's still that adoption phase that needs to be established, and people to actually start wanting to onboard our product before we can look at that kind of gating.
On the adoption phase, can you tell us a little bit about growth or maybe current revenues or get an idea on how much you guys are growing week on week, month on month, etc. I see the downloads you showed us earlier.
Yeah. So as I mentioned, like we have 165 downloads on our. This is on our pure TypeScript SDK. So, I mean, for me, that's massive, right? 165 downloads in 2 days. Like, it's not, obviously thousands, but for a brand new product,
Yeah.
People might be scared about because it's different. For me, that's great. Obviously, we'll have new packages coming out for Python, for Rust. So as we continue to grow, we'll continue to release SDKs for that and hopefully accelerate the growth of those customers as well.
Yeah, I think 165 downloads in the last 2 days is a pretty impressive feat for launching a brand new product. When you guys think about growth and just delivering this to the masses, how do you guys plan to really do that?
I think it would. So to obviously get adoption from the masses, we would need, support at the foundation level, I think. So, either support from obviously Solana itself, or, support from, a big player in the Solana ecosystem.
And how are you guys going about connecting, finding those players that would maybe launch you guys into that hyper growth phase?
Yeah, that's what our partnership manager is for. Not just, we'll call it BTB, but to try and get some of those big, well-established platforms to either incorporate us or to give us like their tick of approval kind of thing. Because when it comes down to it, right, like you look at the Solana ecosystem and it's quite unforgiving. If you don't have connections, your product's not going to grow.
Yeah.
Then you could have the best product there, but without those connections, your product's gonna fail.
Yeah, you have this tweet up. You said privacy is important. ShadowPay doesn't wrap a facilitator and pretend it's private. We rebuilt the entire X402 flow from the ground up. No middlemen, no off-chain trust, just true end-to-end encryption payments with ZK verification and Elgman. No one else is doing this.
Yeah. So I'll mention what I mentioned before. So there's a lot of, I'm gonna say like a lot of tokens popping up that are trying to feed off the X402 and the privacy hype.
Yeah.
There were so many during the X402 hackathon. I think I saw like 30 in one day. Pop into the Telegram and be like, hey, we're launching X402 with privacy. But yeah, as I mentioned before, like as soon as that token, as soon as that payment gets delivered to a facilitator, so that facilitator either unwraps it or that product's not actually sending encrypted data to the facilitator. If it was, the facilitator would be rejecting it because they wouldn't know how to process that. So when you look at the actual flow, so they may be delivering, zero knowledge proofs and encryption from either the bot or their customer to their server, but from the flow onwards of that, there's no encryption.
Got you. Yeah. This is interesting stuff. I do think privacy is, obviously top of mind right now for everybody, but I think it's so important and a necessity going forward. Like I said, some of the comments made a good point. It is your right to have privacy. So I am sold on this privacy meta. It's just going to take some big winners and some people to do it. And, I'm excited. I'm excited to watch you guys hopefully take care of that. Maybe as we wrap up here, give us some general or closing thoughts, anything you want to add, or just give something for the people to look forward to when it comes to roadmap, future plans, etc.
Yeah, absolutely. So you can check out our Twitter. We're quite active on there, quite active in Telegram. we have some pretty cool technology advancements coming in. So that's removing the bitmap nullifier and using the old SPL CNFT token standard for our bitmap nullifier. So that takes basically transactions from a 8,192 transaction pool all the way up to, I think it's like 1.024 million. So you can do 1.024 million transactions without having to rotate that bitmap nullifier.
How do you explain some of these more complex topics and ideas to people in like a simple way? Because ultimately it's one of those things like you want to do stuff, you want to make payments without really knowing what's going on in the back end, but you want to know it's safe, you want to know it's fast, you want to know it works well. How do you explain this kind of techie stuff, deep technical stuff to normies like myself?
So I would explain a bitmap nullifier as a receipt book. So you have this receipt book. Currently, we have 8,194 lines that you can fill out. Once that line's filled out, you need a new receipt book. So what we're doing is we are buying a bigger receipt book, and it allows you to now store 1,024,000 lines in it.
Sounds like a lot of lines.
Without having to rotate, exactly. So we did the calculations, and a bot doing, 1,000 transactions a day, it would take them 4 years to fill out that receipt book. Yeah. So we're doing that with the old CNFT. I'm not sure if you remember compressed NFTs. So we're doing that with the compressed NFT method.
Okay. Interesting. You wanna run through some of these core features. It looks like Solana Daily put out a really nice post about Radar. I think you guys retweeted or quote tweeted. So maybe run us through some of these core features that you guys are really offering. Obviously, Shadow Pay, Shadow Path, Shadow ID. Go ahead.
Yeah, so Shadow ID is incorporated into Shadow Pay. Shadow Path. So we have a privacy mixer on DevNet. So it's not released to mainnet yet. We're going through obviously the legalities of it, and what that means for Radar. It might be dropping the product, but we're fighting tooth and nail to try and get that.
What do you mean dropping the product? Why? Like, what's the difficulty there?
You look at mixers, right, and they are very, very frowned upon. Yeah. So it's kind of trying to figure out how to do the mixer in a way that satisfies, everyone.
Who's giving the pushback? Is it like government entities?
Not government entities, but more so at the consumer level, like from our community. So basically, they're looking at it as this quote unquote shadowy product, because obviously you look at what mixers are traditionally used for, and they're used to money launder.
yeah, fair enough.
Yeah. So trying to work out a way that we can satisfy everyone, and still keep our community happy.
I've seen people say, and I guess I kind of think about it this way too, but the biggest argument against privacy chains, privacy products, privacy SDKs, whatever it is, well, if I want to hide something or encrypt something, I just go through a centralized exchange, right? I just send it to my Binance, I send it to my Coinbase, and you can't track it past that, and I'm all good. Obviously, not your crypto, not your keys, not your crypto. But what do you have to say against that argument?
I mean, from my perspective, right? So everything's tracked on Binance, at least in Australia anyway. So I can, say I get a $10,000 payment. Now, the moment that $10,000 payment comes in, that payment gets sent, or that information gets sent to what we have here is the ATO, which is the taxation office. It's been like, hey, Luke received a $10,000 payment in Binance. And then when it comes around to tax time, it's basically like the taxman's like, hey, where'd that $10,000 payment go? So I think from that argument, or that perspective and that argument, I mean, a centralized exchange isn't really a good argument because it still is all tracked. I don't know what it's like, in other jurisdictions. Obviously, I don't know what they do in America, Canada, but from as
I'm
I
sure
mentioned,
it's tracked.
the Australian perspective, everything gets sent to the ATO, so nothing is actually private.
So from so the public gazing eye maybe can't see your transactions, but it's still getting scrutinized by everyone else on the back end.
Exactly, and the government.
Yeah,
That's the
yeah.
biggest part, right? Like, yeah.
Okay, sweet. What about Shadow ID and some of these other?
So Shadow ID is actually plugged into ShadowPay. So it's I think there you can read it's the identity layer, and basically when you connect your wallet, you're given a identity in the ShadowPay ecosystem. Now that identity is just a random number of characters; it doesn't actually mean anything, but to us or to ShadowPay, that's essentially your client ID.
Okay. Shadow message.
Shadow message. So once again in beta on DevNet. So, private end-to-end messages. Think of Telegram, but on chain. And that ties in with Shadow ID. So, for example, you hit me up on, XYZ, you give me your Shadow ID, and then we basically go to the application and then we start messaging on that. And it's, full end-to-end encryption, and it uses, rate nullifier limits as well.
You guys have a lot in beta. You're working on like a lot.
Yeah, I like to think of ShadowPay as our flagship product, and everything else, built around it.
Yeah, that makes sense. Okay, sweet. I think we covered a ton. Really interested in this. I'm gonna keep up with your Twitter.
Yeah.
And you keep track of what you're doing. Like you said, lots of information there. It seems like you're very active.
Yeah,
And,
we are.
Oh, what is this? Yeah. This is something I wanted to touch on too.
Yeah, so we actually submitted a $80,000 grant with full roadmap to the Solana Foundation. I think I mentioned earlier as well. We competed in the X402 hackathon. We submitted ShadowPay for best developer tooling, and then winners should be announced in the next 2 days.
From an anonymity perspective, obviously you are anon, or at least for this call, you're anonymous. Are you guys planning to dox? Obviously, it's a privacy protocol, so I think kind of the crux of privacy is being private. But maybe your thoughts there.
Yeah, I can see how it comes across. Right, is a lot of projects refuse to dox, or they don't dox the right person. If you get what I'm pushing at here, or they completely create a fake, alias. Yes, for me, I will plan to dox myself, if needed. Obviously, the Solana Foundation would probably require me to dox myself, especially to go ahead and go forward with the project.
And you'd be willing to do that?
Yeah, I'd be willing to dox myself.
Cool. Yeah, I didn't know if you were staying anonymous because it fits with the whole privacy angle, or if or what that was. So interesting. Luke, closing thoughts, brother. How are you feeling? What are you excited for? What should the people be paying attention to? Where can they keep up with everything? Boom.
So they can keep up with pretty much everything happening on x.com/radar.fun, or in our Telegram as well. We're constantly developing. As if you go check our X out, our Twitter, you can see what we've shipped in the last, probably month alone, even last 2 weeks. I think the thing that I'm most excited for is adoption of this protocol. Pardon me. Sorry, I'm a little bit sick at the moment as well.
Oh, dude, sorry to hear. Me and you both.
The thing that I'm most excited about is the prospect of actually bringing privacy to Solana.
Yeah. Well, I'm excited too. Luke, we appreciate you coming on, brother. We will stay in contact, and I wish you the best.
Thank you very much. You guys have a good day.
I appreciate you being up bright and early. What time did you wake up to be on the show?
4:30 a.m.
Well, I was just getting to sleep around the time you were waking up. So I appreciate that. And Luke, you have a good day.
Thank you. Have a good day, guys.
All right, brother. Peace. Sweet, guys. There we go. That's Radar. Interesting stuff. We see a lot of things popping up in terms of privacy. You know how it gets when the markets get hot. Everyone comes flooding with the new integration, right? The new X402, the new privacy preserving technology. It seems like Radar is really taking a solid stab at it, and based on the chart, it shows that people seem to think this one is one of the more legitimate ones. And I don't know, I think based on that conversation, I tend to agree. So looks pretty cool. I love the demo he did for us live, shows how it works. Interesting angle that we see for micropayments, of course, just private transactions. The ID was interesting. I don't, there's a lot to digest there, but super cool conversation. Obviously, privacy is something that needs to happen at some point. Can it be Radar is the question. So that being said, we're going to keep this short and sweet today, guys. Markets are getting bodied. Really not much to talk about in the markets, but we can cover some buy the dip opportunities, or at least what I'm buying. I would say, guys, our bags have held up very well in terms of overall market. So I'm happy with that. You know what? I see, Zan, I'm just now seeing your messages. I don't know why StreamYard sometimes doesn't load, but GCPT Zen, yeah, hopefully you're still on here. Yeah, sorry for not getting back to that. Solana's going back to 200 next week. I hope so, dude. I'm tired of this, frankly. I'm actually tired of this. I don't like crypto. I just want to be done with it. Now, truth is, I do love crypto. I'm, like I said, very happy with the portfolio. It's been holding up phenomenally against this dip, but I really am ready for that season again where everything just goes up only, and I can buy some good tech and be confident that it's going to hold up. So distribution is needed for the next leg up. Absolutely is then. All right. Luke's the man. Yeah, see, I'm just catching up on chat now, so I appreciate you. And again, this didn't show up when I was live. It's weird. When I was live with Luke. Radar is on another level from John Amos. Yeah, super cool stuff. Continue to build. Lots of support here. Man, Zen, this is a lot. Okay. With MCG, it kind of makes launchpads less important because MCG digs into discovery hidden gems. We appreciate that. That's kind of the goal. And again, I don't think the launchpad you launched on should be imperative to how your token performs, right? I don't know. I just want to see more runners happen on Bonk, on Bags, on MetaDAO, on Believe, on Soar, like whatever it is. I just want good projects to run. So I hope that happens. And I hope MCG is helping with that, to be honest. But I think I caught up. Ave said Viva buy zone ? I'm not sure if Ave is still on, but we can cover some quick buy zones, what dips we're buying. Viva would be one of the ones I am watching. Very good development with them. I'm not sure if you guys have been keeping up with their Twitter and their updates, but they have been basically full steam ahead into this next phase, and we know what that means. Buybacks are coming, and we know the ad exchange is generating very large sums of money in terms of revenue, right? This is a $1 billion company, and Nate's throwing out some numbers where if you do the math, you can make something shake. But yeah, making billions of dollars is a great company. I think as soon as these buybacks kick in, as soon as they start pushing this mass adoption, I mean, that's going to be the test, right? Are they going to be able to get Viva mass adopted in Bolivia and then continue to expand that across? And we'll see. I think it's valiant that they're making the attempt and the effort, right? We know Bolivia needs something like this. So, of course, I hope it succeeds. I hope it does well. I am buying. I loaded up more during this zone right here. You can see my purple box. It's aged nicely. It is down quite a bit today. Viva's been very resilient against the market. Again, over the past, this is a daily chart. So we'll just call it, and of course, I'm going to only start marking off after the big dip. But we'll call it from 17th of October to November 14th, we've stayed generally in the same range, right? That's 30 days, so about a month. We've just stayed kind of range bound in some very difficult conditions, right? 10-10 was a big one, and this held up generally pretty well for 10-10. Let's see, where was that? Oh, well, yeah. I mean, it held up okay. It held up okay. Either way, yeah, I do like Viva. I think in terms of market conditions, this is going to fluctuate very little. So I think your downside is pretty limited. If it does manage to come back down into these ranges, like I'm slamming, again, 50% of supply is out of circulation. Buybacks are going to kick in. They have 20% auto APY flex yield staking that is now live for all Viva in-app holders. So again, they're rolling this out in the country right now. So if you purchase, if one of their 1.3 million users purchases Viva on their in-app wallet, they're going to get an automatic 20% APY flex staking paid out in Viva. Of course, that's going to be bought back on the open market by Viva from at exchange revenues. So maybe seeing some more clarity on that would be nice, but I think you guys just need to position and wait. Lots coming for Viva. Infra, holding steady. Very interesting. Aave, Infra's been holding great. We covered that the day it launched. We had them on the following day, I believe, on the show. And you're right. This is one of the few Believe projects that's held up very well. It's down 18% now, but as expected for a 4.5% down day on Bitcoin. But that's a nice chart. Yeah, that's a really nice chart. I will say I'm sidelined. We covered this on this dip, I believe. So, anyone that was there on the call is up a good bit. But yeah, I know that there's some decent supply control here. I know that Lewis holds a bit from Foundry. I think the team probably sniped a little bit of supply as well. So look, there's some decent supply control here. I doubt we're going to see, any selling from those two entities, team and Lucas, or I hope not, at least. And I think that's contributed to the positive price action, which goes to show how important it is to have, number one, the right holders, and number two, maybe a little bit of supply control. Obviously, I don't think this is a market maker, but 1.2 million market cap, really impressive. I have to keep up with Infra. I really haven't been. But I know I know Lewis has said that this is a very cracked founder and a cracked dev, and he's building some cool stuff. So shout out Infra. I got to look into it more. Maybe any TLDRs, any news for Infra, Aave, that you wanna pepper in here. Let's see what else. CPT we talked about. CPT is holding up fantastic. Really happy with that investment. Like I said, you guys know I am a top holder in CPT. And it's been nice for my portfolio these last couple days because I'm actually not down on it. I'm up nicely on it. Come on, Moby Screener. Let's do it, guy. Let's load. There we go. Yeah, so there we are. That's been a nice chart. Now we've been out for 7 days. They released more information on the SOAR platform. Can I... let me pull up my SOAR account. I hope I can log in. It always makes me use a new email or re-log in. So give me a sec. You can see my position. What's cool about SOAR too is you can see my position live on SOAR. Not my full position, of course, but the little bit I was able to buy on that platform, it was giving me some issues. Checked our Twitter, just dropped some updates. Okay, I can do that. I'll rotate back to Infra after this quick little SOAR segment. And I got to load this up, though I'm not sure if buying on platforms is going to be better. But yeah, so I guess they just released more information. Yeah, you can see my screen. Okay, sweet. So there you can see what I'm holding. Obviously, like I said, that's a very small portion considering I wasn't able to buy much on this app. But that being said, yeah, I think they released more. So we love Patrick here. Let's check the forum. And Josh and Chill, co-host of the show, did some fantastic write-ups. So I would recommend going and checking that out. But let's see. Oh, we got some downvotes. I haven't seen this section. But let's... Where is that update? Maybe I'm going to defer to Josh's tweet on this because I'm not seeing where everything is displayed here. Where the information is. Let's check their website. Anything new here? No, nothing new on the website. But I know Josh did have a tweet out. So we're gonna let's run through Josh's tweet and Chill's tweet, guys. Just get some more info. And Abe, we'll pivot back to infra in a sec here, brother. Okay. Yeah, so here's Josh's tweet. We went through CPT, artifact filed on launch store 3 hours ago. Oh, they must have covered this on stream. Okay. So maybe they've already covered this, but I'll read through it nonetheless. I haven't actually read this full tweet, but I know it looked like there was some good info. The bottom application makes sense. A series of drones could charge, perform tasks, and rotate through charging autonomously for surveillance, forest, firefighting, military, etc. In UKR Rust, right now, many FPVs are airborne for 40 minutes max, even with fiber optic cables. But this could enable drones to loiter indefinitely by rotating positions in the sky/ground. The vertical loop is also interesting, implying drones flies through the hovers inside. Curious about how power transfers while flying like that. Love the stuff that's launching on chain. ICM is the future. I'm currently making it happen. So we can see here, this is an example of drones. This is why I love CPT. And here we go. It looks like there's some more info he linked as well. And there's some more info here. And you guys can go read it up on the SOAR platform. But this is my bullish thesis on SOAR. Okay, again, it just links us here. Oh, right here under artifacts. There you go, guys. And this is a pitch deck. It's worth a read. It looks like this is when he talks about the looping. Sweet. Let's see. Oh, looks like they've redacted some of this stuff. Interesting. Oh, yeah. So this is a full. Yeah, they've definitely redacted some stuff. Obviously, they can't give away the trade secrets. Redacted entire page here. I got to go read this. This is interesting. It's a lot. I'm not going to read through it on stream here. But that should give you some more information. Okay, cool. So I got something to do later. You guys got some homework to do. Here's my thing about CPT, right? And this is why I'm bullish CPT. Number one, Patrick is such an incredible founder. Like, they have a great team. But more importantly, it's a narrative/angle. We know robotics has been a super hot narrative. We know AI is a super hot narrative. I think being able to own a piece of this company is a new primitive that people are very interested in. So for these reasons, I just remain bullish. I think it's very easy to paint a picture of this being extremely important for robotics. I think if robotics narrative sweeps, this does very well. I think you could paint a picture of this being extremely valuable in terms of, like, it's very hard to value these projects because there's no ceiling. That's part of the issue with ICM. Lots of these tokens have ceilings. And I say ceilings because they have revenue caps, right? You can track how much they make. If someone raised at 100 million valuation, like, you're probably not going to trade it much higher than 100 million valuation unless we're in a really frothy market, which we're not. It also makes it good when you see heavy discounts, like on CLED. When CLED's on a big dip, it's like, well, guys, we know this is going to be equity anchored, and we know they raised at 100 million, probably worth buying dips when it's at 15, 20, whatever. That being said, something like CPT is extremely hard to value because no one's doing it, right? No one's really mastered energy transfer in beams and grids and so on and so forth. So you have a narrative that's really easy to sell when it comes to robotics, AI, just super futuristic narrative. And then you have a extremely hard to value narrative and a new primitive. So I think for those three reasons, CPT is an interesting investment. So it's why I built a position. And again, as the market picks up, I think you're going to see myself and probably a lot of people included talk about, wow, this is huge for robotics. This is a game changer for robotics. And that's just the tip of the iceberg, right? Because then you can use this technology to power entire smart cities is one of the examples they gave. So again, very hard to value, which means token can go up a lot. That's my smooth brain thesis on CPT. But that's enough. We're not going to talk about CPT anymore probably on this stream. Let's go to infra because Abe said they put out a tweet. And guys, go ahead and check out Josh and Chill's posts on CPT because it's pretty cool stuff. Chill's been going hard. I'm checking their Twitter for you. 1 second. And let me pull up infra in the meantime. Let's see. What's the new updates? Why is this thing looking so good in such a bad market? They are dumping. I'm talking about infra, so now they're dumping naturally. Naturally. Bear with me, guys. I'm trying to find their. There we go. Infra X. Here we go. Let's see the new update on Twitter. November 13th. That would be yesterday. This is the update I'm assuming Abe is talking about. Introducing Infra N Sentinel, an X402 powered. Oh, there we go. That's going to get a lot of people excited. That word right there. Introducing Infra Sentinel, an X402 powered A2A1 ready deep research agent built on Infra X intelligence stack. A lot of AI agents can place bets or fire off micro trades. Sentinel goes deeper, full stack reasoning, not execution spam. Sentinel doesn't summarize, it synthesizes. It crawls the open web, models uncertainty, and outputs hedge fund grade probability maps. Hedge fund grade probability maps is a bold claim, because hedge funds will contract technology that's at that scale, and they'll buy it out for a lot of money. So it's typically not open to the public or accessible to the public. So it's a bold claim. But let's see. What is it? Oh, here, there's a thread. Arsenal in front. Oh, geez. Here we go. Guardiola in the rear view. A 360 probability map of the 2025-26 EPL title race. Markets coverage at 60% for Arsenal. Underlying XG. Okay, so this looks like it's making... Okay, they got a Dune dashboard. It looks like it's making some sort of predictions on soccer, right, or football, however you guys oblige. Building bots, running agents, trading on chain on Polymarket, or even in real market. Sentinel is your new intelligent layer. X402 payments, A to A, agent collaboration, full stack. So it's an intelligent layer. Again, maybe you think about like advanced LLM that can do X402 payments, agent to agents, collaboration, and then a full stack autonomy. It looks like you can make bets, predictions, decipher world events. I'm assuming we're also exploring a dedicated Polymarkets trading agent powered by Sentinel's research engine. Lots of these popping up. I'd be interested to see numbers on this historically. How good, how well has it done? What sports is performing best? Just all sorts of stats. Maybe that's what this Dune. Dude, the Dune dashboard's not loading, or the dashboard wasn't loading. It's all good. Oh, good. We'll just keep it to Twitter. And if you're wondering how Sentinel pays for data tools and services on chain, that's where facilitators come in. Think of it like Coinbase, X402, or PayAI, but designed specifically for autonomous agents and Solana only for now. A lightweight X402 native payment layer. More on that soon. Okay. Yeah, cool update. I'd like to see numbers. I'd like to see how this performs. Lots of this stuff. It's hard to get, gauge these stuff because you need historical evidence and empirical evidence. So we need numbers. But InfraX is really adapting to the crypto landscape. I remember when we had them on first, it was like crypto was brand new to them. It was very difficult for them to kind of, I guess, figure out exactly what that would look like. But it seems they're grasping it. They're getting the hang of it. So there's InfraX. Guys, anything else you want me to cover? I will go through. I'll go through CLED. Met's doing really, really well. Let's do, and Dupe and Viva. I'll do CLED, Dupe, Viva, Met. Let's start with CLED. Because that again is at a discount. Valued at 30 million FTV. Again, you see my golden box. Very nice golden box. We like it. It's been very lucrative. And I'm probably a buyer sub 30 mil. Granted, I haven't actually bought any more sub 30 mil yet. But again, the market's tumbling. This is holding up relatively well. Again, CLED has raised $3 million at a $100 million valuation just recently. They're deploying the ERC-S standard right now. They're the only product that's gaining points for Street Foundation. We know that they're going to have equity anchoring. How much of that is going to be anchored? I'm not sure. Could it be 100%? I hope so. I hope Avi goes and blows us away and says, look, we are so confident in CLED. We are going to accumulate as much of the tokens as we can with revenue and buybacks, and 100% of equity will be tokenized through this ERC-S standard. Maya is very close. I would love for that to be the case. I don't know that it is. But I would say, and I hope Avi's got something to prove, I would say maybe 50% of equity is anchored. I would say maybe 50%. That's going to be my guess, which means, and I only say that because Avi has made a point to say he's raised at 100 mil, indicating that this 30 million price is undervalued or unfair considering the true value of the company. Again, back in AI season or hot season, you raise at 100 mil valuation from some prominent VCs, your token's going to trade at $1 billion, right? Not the case with Kled. Kled truly could be a unicorn, though. I love what they're doing. I think they're going to open up the wait list pretty soon, is what they've been saying. And I do think it goes pretty mainstream. It does very well. Dupe got to #1 on the App Store. Kled will likely do. My headset just died. Love that. My headset just died. That's all good, though. I don't need volume. That's all good. I don't need volume. It's weird, though. I can hear myself a little louder now. Can you guys still hear me? I hope so. I hope so. I don't see why you wouldn't be able to. But cool, bro. We'll rock it out with no headset. But that being said, Kled. Wow, I sound different now. I can hear myself. Kled raised at 100 million valuation. Their token has an equity anchor yet to have specifics on that. Maybe soon. Hopefully soon. We know Maya's hard at work with Street. 30 mil is probably undervalued. Let's say 50% is anchored. That puts this at least a fair value of 50 mil, which is back at all-time highs. And I mean, that's not including for the growth potential of Kled. I do think Kled is an insanely good project. I think it's got a lot of growth. Opportunity. And so I'm actually interested in Kled beyond 100 mil and further, to be honest, because I do think that this could be a breakout product. And I think Avi's moving at an insane speed. We know how fast projects and tech companies move these days. I think Kled could be a big one in a year. Okay, let's talk Dupe. Talk #1 on the App Store. Love some of the content Bobby's been putting out. Sick videos, literally Super Bowl ad level videos. Nikita Beer shouted him out. This has, of course, been outperforming the entire market. It's up. I mean, since the lows of 15 mil, up over 100%. Right now, it's not quite there, but was well into 150% gains in this terrible market. Love Dupe. I told you again, guys, I was slamming buys at 5 mil. Ooh. Why did you guys let me get 5 mil on this? Thank you. Jeez Louise. I mean, they really make it easy, guys. You just got to find products. But this is a great level. It's stabling out here. Again, market's nuking. It's holding very well off this pump. I think Dupe's in a hyper growth phase. Again, another product that I think gets picked up. 25% is owned by the team. Over $2 million in buybacks. This is deeply integrated into the product. They talked about the flywheel. If you go through the Dupe user onboarding, you can see that referring friends, doing these things when you sign up earns you Dupe. Again, that is not inflationary. They have to buy that Dupe back, and I think they do. They buy the Dupe back, and they burn it, and they let you spend it on points in app. There's no way it goes circulating, so it's bullish, right? It is bullish for this product to get used. And again, they have a fat bag of supply, which gives Bobby some optionality in terms of like what he wants to maybe do in terms of if he decides to go an equity route, tokenize that 25%. And I don't really know, but loving Dupe. In tangent with Dupe, Fitcoin has also caught bids. People realize, wait a minute, Dupe went to #1 on the App Store, and its price is now at much higher, right? 30 million valuation. Flip Kled, by the way. What's up with Fitcoin? And Fitcoin has gotten some attention because of this. Remember, they charted at 16 on the App Store with their V2. They obviously have a full release of a new app coming. I think they have big things planned. $3 billion companies they partner with. We know what happens with Fitcoin. And again, this is one I also have been accumulating, even started back here. Started when they launched. I was one of the first transactions, fun fact, of Fitcoin, because they actually launched a token before this as like a test. And so I was following the account prior to it and made it very easy to buy the new one. But that being said, I was buying Fitcoin on all these capitulation dips and then much more into here. So I have a very big bag of Fitcoin, to be honest. And I think they could be a breakout consumer crypto app. I think clothing is massive. People like clothing. People like being social. So Fitcoin's a good bet for me. I do think also another one that could go high on the charts when it comes to the App Store when they release their new product. So Fitcoin's cool. We covered Kled. We covered Fitcoin. Let's cover Met. And then I'm gonna wrap, guys. Unless you have anything you want, then I'm gonna wrap. Let's do Met. I really hope you guys can hear me. My mic works fine, but no headset. Why chart look like this? Why does the chart look like this? This one better? No. It's not better. Okay, let me refresh. Met's been doing really well though, super strong. I think people are starting to pick up KNet. Pepe, great call. No, this is just not the right chart, dude. Gotta do what we gotta do, guys. Transfer over to Deck Screener for this one. So obviously we saw Met launch. They went live with 40% plus of airdrop, which is like the largest for any platform their size. Obviously, we're going to get that selling off. I think people are now starting to realize, wait a minute, this generates insane revenue. It's up there as a top 5 daily revenue generator. They've got MetaDAO launch on top of Met. They've got Soar launch on top of Met. They've got Believe, which doing no sort of numbers, but every launch pad right now is going to Met for their technology. Outside of the fees and the money that they're making from their liquidity pools, Met has just been crushing. So I think people are starting to realize we're in a revenue meta. Met's got some revenues, juicy ones, and it's sitting at 225 million market cap. That's not much higher than Meta, one of the launch pads on their platform. So like, I don't know, Meteora is valued at 225 million and then an FDV shy of 500 million, right? $500 million. And you have some great launch pads launched on top of Meteora. Every time they get fees, Meteora takes a bit of that, right? Just so you understand. So if you find value in these launch pads, you have to find value in the underlying technology, the infra behind it, right? Which is Met. And of course they have the liquidity pool, which is doing 100 mil. I think they did 100 mil last year in revenue, I forget. But much, much more in terms of fees distributed, $1 billion in distributed fees to LPers. Again, Met's great. We love Met, sponsor of MCG. They keep us going. So we love Met. This is not a sponsor of MCG. I got to shield them kind of deal. And again, to clarify that, every single sponsor you see on MCG is someone we use and we vetted. We do not just let anyone sponsor. It was a little more loosey-goosey in the past. We've completely cleaned that up. If you're going to sponsor MCG, you are something we truly believe in, use, and love. So it's not like, oh, Meteor is our sponsor, we have to shield them. Not at all. And they would never ask that, by the way. So Met's really cool, looking good. Again, we're in the revenue meta. Nothing better than Met, a top 5 revenue generating on-chain app. Looking really good. One I need to start building a larger position in. And I had time at the bottom, and I figured it was going to do this. I just didn't pull a lot of triggers. I do have some, though. But I have less than I'd like. KNet. Pepe. Man, KNet was an interesting case, guys. I'm not sure if you've seen it. We've talked about this on the show. But off a really nice pump. I think it got up to like 5 mil. Right now it's held up nice. Yowdy, that's held up nice, Pepe. Normally you see pumps like this get insta-faded into, but according to the team and according to Smart Money Trackers, 80% of supply was bought up, in this range. 80%. Basically, they said, which I hate that they did this. Hey, guys, we went quiet for months on end because we wanted to shake out weak hands. And during that time, we, with insider information, scooped up 80% of supply. Don't think they went around about it right, but you can't deny this is still a big company. They're doing big things, and they're now supposedly going to start being active again. So, you got to lean into how they've been acting in the past, right? You can't just think someone's going to change everything. We've seen how their actions speak louder than words. We've seen how they act. So, do I trust them? No, not at all. Is there potential if they're true to their word? Yes, I would say so. So it's at 3.8 million here. We saw this was one of the top ecosystem projects on Believe a while back. I'm not sure if they've announced a migration, but they're working. There's been new updates with KNet. Apparently, supply control goes hard for KNet. also begs the question, if they wanted to just nuke their bags on you at any point in time, they could. So tread lightly with KNet, but it is one that's very interesting and great chart for after a big pump like this in a terrible market. Great chart. Sweet, guys. I think that does it for me. I'm pretty sure you guys can hear me. I hope so. Otherwise, I've just been talking to myself for the last 20 minutes. But yeah, guys, appreciate you coming on. This was this was a Dinero show, Dinero Dom show today. We got Josh and Chill coming back on next week. We're excited for next week. We still have to fill a few gaps in the schedule, but as always, man, we are excited to. Let's see, can I just do face? Boom. As always, man, we're excited. It was a great week. We're excited for the week to come in the markets. Hopefully things pick up. Ultimately, if you're listening to MCG, if you are MCG, you're positioned very well for the oncoming, hopefully, resurgence in the market and interest in ICM and what comes with that. So I'm excited. I'm positioned. I'm ready for what's to come, guys. As always, much love. We appreciate you. And I will catch you guys soon. Boom. Tried to hit the outro. It's not working. I'm not the engineer here, guys. How does this work, dude? Come on. Come on, Dom. Come on, Dom. Oh, no, that's intro. I'm just gonna play the intro. We're out of here, boys. Peace. I got it. I go up to end stream and the outro video is there. Yeah, play outro on end stream. See you guys.